Mr. Trump.
Yo, 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 yo. Yo, 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 yo. Sound check, sound check. Y'all see the title, y'all. Y'all see the title, The Other Side of Israel. Now, this is a, a documentary from Ted Pike. I got this off of X. Somebody had posted this on X, and I said, holy moly donut shop. This stuff is right up my alley. Now I'm waiting for a few people to get in here. So hold on. Okay, we waiting for Sammy Kate. We waiting for Sammy Kate. She had a question about flat earth. We gonna go into this Israel stuff too. She said, just show me a working model of flat earth that explains all observed reality. She said you have failed before at explaining the southern hemisphere, star trails, and fixed pole stars. She said I lied and you denied your way through that conversation. How long is this gonna take? 1 minute? Now, hold on, let me get that out. It's only gonna take 1 minute. Now, let me pull up. Hey, let me close this door. Let me pull up a picture of. It's a diagram of a just flat Earth ring map. So you got this southern hemisphere. This is the outside of the circle. Everything out here is south. You see this white part? This is your Antarctica. Okay. Now the thing is how this world is, how this flat Earth is structured. There's like a upturned edge. So there's a dip right here and a upturned edge, and this is why they say call Australia the land down under, because it's right here in this crevice right here. And yes, you do see different constellations on the outside of this ring, and you barely can see Polaris. You see how you see how easy that was, and these are your constellations right here. But you go see different constellations uh wherever you located on this map. But this is your south. The South Pole is the damn ring. You know what I'm saying? So, and I had a better picture of, but I can't find it. I had a more detailed photo of where you get this crevice at, because even all right, let's pull this up right quick. Even when I pull this up, this dude said this is Dr. Augustine Pickard. He said it seemed, and he took a weather balloon up, and this is what he seen. He said it seemed a flat disc with an upturned edge. So where that upturned edge would be like the land down under what we call Australia, and then you got Antarctica right there around the ring. But it depends on where you at on this damn flat Earth map. You know what I'm saying? It depends on where you at. You go see different constellations. So, uh, What's that pole star? I forgot what that pole star was. Let me look it up. This is open research, by the way. We go get into it. So I forgot what they called it. Sigma Octaneus. That's what they call the this pole star on the south celestial pole. Unlike the North Star, doesn't have a bright, easily visible direct at the pole, but the closest faintest star is Sigma Octaneus, barely visible to the naked eye. Okay. There isn't a star as prominent as Polaris. Look, I'm reading it. There isn't a star as prominent as Polaris, because Polaris don't move, y'all. Even in the flat Earth cosmology, you got Polaris over this sky vault right here. Don't It moves a little bit, but it rotates like it's spinning. Okay, it moves a little bit. Oh, here go the picture right here. You see this upturned edge right here? That's what we talking about, family. This Earth ain't is just one big dark tower. It's just one big pyramid, and we got and that all explain. And then you got your heliocentric model right here, and we went over that I think this morning. So that's the answer to her question. You see how easy that was? I answered it about 50 million times, but you got a lot of trolls that'll come up on my page and say you didn't do this and you did that. And come on, man. We cook people under 50 seconds on this channel. Very surgical with the knowledge. So yeah, depending on where you at around this ice ring, you gonna see Sigma Octaneus, whatever it's called. That fake ass pole star. That fake ass pole star. That's not even magnetic. Your compass don't even point that fucking way. It's not a real magnetic North Pole. Okay. Your magnet don't go to Sigma Octaneus. The elements don't even go. This word is all based off electromagnetism. That's 369. That's your Tesla code. Okay, that's your Fibonacci spiral. That's what the sun and moon is making. The sun is Horus. The minute hand is the moon god, or many men. There's this guy called Minis. He represents the minute hand, and Horus or Ra represents this sun god. We in Egypt, y'all. We ain't in Israel. Now let's continue. You see how fast I did that? You see how fast I did that? I'm very surgical with it. Now we waiting on her reply. Okay. We waiting on her prop reply because, like I said, a lot of people come up on here thinking they know a lot. I don't know a lot, but I study every night, every day. That's all I do. Study, study, study. Because that's how you go beat these psyops. You see everybody about to go into a race war right now. I'm not involving my black ass in no more psyops. Okay? I'm just not. And 9 times out of 10, we debunk them on this channel when they come. So it's easy to get caught up in this stuff, man. That's why I said they got this new they amplifying this that murder that happened between that white kid and that black kid. And that black kid should be in jail, but they trying to say he was defending himself. And the thing is, it's crazy because he go get a Democratic judge, he go beat the charge, and y'all go be out there riding, stabbing each other like like Bunker Hill and shit, like the Battle of Gettysburg type shit. History repeats itself. This ain't the first time stuff like this ever happened. So you go have people on the right, people on the left. They go get it. They go get in their emotions, and that's what the that's what they specialize in. That's what UNESCO specializes in. Okay, y'all need to know who these people are that's fooling you and trying to steal your soul. But they gonna basically magnify um instances in the community. That shit probably stuff like that probably happen all the time, but when they get the cameras out, is lights, camera, action. It just is what it is. Man, where did I have all these queued up at? Okay, I think we have all these queued up right here. So let's deal with this first because people think they in America. If you think you really in America, we need you to take a seat. Okay, we need you to take a seat, fam. You muddying up the waters. Okay, so when you deal with Israel, you dealing with three different gods, family. You dealing with Isis, Ra, and El. But y'all brains is like this, man. Look at this. People are so programmed, they'll debate with you over things they never research. I run into these people all the time online. Like, do you know who you talking to? You see that name right there? That name holds weight, family. And guess what? If I didn't isolate myself and gain all this knowledge, I'd have been defeated. I'm glad I took the route I did because I could cruise control on this knowledge. So here go ISIS, Ra, and then I thought I had a picture of L queued up here. Let's pull up who L is. Because L is another form of Zeus because he deal with electricity. But the thing is, we living in a pyramid. We still in Egypt, y'all. This whole economic structure is based off Egypt. That's why y'all be like, Israel did it. Israel did it. Yeah, all right, dude. All right, dude. Whatever. Now let's pull up who L is. This is L right here. He looked like damn Santa Claus. Jesus Christ, he looked like Serapis, all these Greco-Egyptian. El is a Greco-Egyptian god, Hebrew Egyptian god. Okay, so he sits above the pantheon because he deals with the central nervous system. That's why you can see him in the middle of the flat Earth cosmos right here. He is also personified as El Saturn, and he's the Lord of the Rings. Okay, when they say my Lord, they talking about the Sadducees and Sadducees, the Pharisees and Sadducees. They talking about those people. Lord, my Lord. You know what I'm saying? These were lords and overlords of the land, or what you call landlord. And we went into a whole documentary about the landlord and this dude named Charles Ray Boycott. and he was a tyrant landlord, and his tenants were so disgruntled. Yeah, they start boycotting, and that's where you get the name boycott from. That's why y'all boycott, because it is this white man named Charles Ray Boycott. He's a J. He a small hat too. He a small hat too, but he was considered the landlord. Y'all still call these people landlord and stuff like y'all still use this terminology. It hasn't changed. It just changed forms. But if you suffering from gump brain, you're not gonna know this stuff. Okay, you just not gonna know. So you got uh everybody worship this. See this eye right here. This the eye of providence in Christianity. But Yahweh El is another personification or extension of El. Yah is another extension of El, but El sits above the cosmos because, like I said, he deals with the central nervous system. The central nervous system is powered off electricity, fam. You generate your own electricity, just like a central processing unit. That's all. That's all the central nervous system is. But all roads lead to home, or what they call lead to Rome. And this is your Masonic two pillars of Freemasonry, Joachim and Boaz. Okay, but that's just the introduction of this topic, because y'all don't know who's running who, because these people deal with so many hats. You know what I'm saying? They got too many hats on, so they know how to switch. They know how to blend in and all of that. So no wonder why you're being destroyed from the inside out. Now the thing is, let's get into let's get into this. And when I say they wear the too many hats, you don't know if this is a Jewish man or a rabbi. Now do you? They all the same at the top. Because in this hierarchy, the Catholic, you see the Catholic uh religion ain't on this chart, but the three Muhammad faiths are, because guess what? Roman Catholics conquered these three entities right here: Orthodox, Catholic, Protestant. But they all bleed into Islam. See, they got a religion called Chrislam, where they mix Christianity and Islam together. Y'all didn't know that, because, like I said, all these UNESCO, the World Council of Churches, they're all one. They pose as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm gonna be honest with you. And like I said, they still worship the Brahma. That's the Hindu god. The Hindu god is over all these three religions, because Abraham is a Brahma. They still worship Brahma, the bull. This is why you see them throwing up the devil horns, and that's why you see them, because they just worshiping their family crest. That's all they doing. That's all they did. But like I said, this is how they keep repopulating on the earth, because with the Zionistic agenda, they know how to they know how to clone a humans. You know what I'm saying? So when y'all be like, oh man, Israel think they chosen by God through the Zionistic agenda, they are, because they the ones who's in the lab cooking up all the all the bullshit. So in a sense, yeah, they talking they shit. In a sense, they right, because ain't nobody on the bottom of this pyramid, this debt pyramid. These people ain't moved. These people are all scattered around and dumb. They not above the government, media, education. See, the all seeing eye is Egypt, fam. We still stuck in Egypt, and Christ said, uh, "Get out of Egypt." But honestly, we ain't going nowhere. We trapped. We trapped. Okay. So when people don't know who they are, that's why they trapped. And politics got a lot to do with people being trapped. That red versus blue dumbass shit. They got people brainwashed. especially if you radical or you know what I'm saying, you an extremist. You definitely cook, man. You definitely cook. But let's go into this video. Hold on, I think we got a comment. Shouts out to Alicia Kelly for tuning in. She liked the video. But yeah, matter of fact, let me pull this up because y'all think I'm playing. Y'all don't even know who Israel and the Jews are. And every day I laugh at people online. I laugh at everything. I be like, golly. So let's look at what Osiris throne look like. And so we look at a picture of Osiris throne, and y'all be like, "Oh, I'm an American." No, dude, you're not a fucking American. You're Egyptian. You're an Egyptian. I don't care how long. Just like Christ said, he don't care how much you scream for Christ. That means he ain't coming to get. He said he ain't coming to get everybody. It don't matter how much you scream an American. All your religion come from this damn Egyptology shit, and it's all based off Satanism because they still worship the god Aten. They still worship this guy Aten from Egypt. Now you see Osiris throne. Do you see the American flag right there, family? Do you see the American flag right there, family? You're not from fucking America. Stop saying that stuff. Stop saying it. You see? Osiris is green. The reason why Osiris is green is because the JEWs, they deal with green screen technology. NASA and this, NASA, all these damn space agencies and shit. Man, we caught these people a long time ago, man. A long time ago. So yeah, this your NASA, your Masonic order, but it gotta be in order because the thing is they deal with alignment, but they they really not aligned. But it's a Masonic order. So yeah, these people deal with green screen technology, Osiris. Hold on, let's pull up. See, they still worship this damn cross too. That's the X. That's why Elon named his company X because he still deal with Osiris. Okay, and Osiris, you see what Osiris got on the top of his head. Let's pull up. Osiris got a Osiris got a Neuralink helmet on top of his head, and he's basically the Pope. See, even your Roman Catholic, they all copy off of fucking Egypt, dude. So if I catch one of y'all saying y'all American, I'm gonna say you damn liar, dude. You're a liar. Even the Pope. I'm Catholic. I'm Christian. No, you're not. You're an Egyptian, dude. Let's pull up the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, because basically that's. And I had. Hold on. Let's do this. So hold on. Let's do this. Even the "Don't Tread on Me" flag represents the Hindu of the snake rising. You see this, and the snake is making a pyramid symbol, but your "Don't Tread on Me" is the snake because in ancient Egypt, the pharaoh worshipped the snake, and the snake is what color? Green. And guess what? There's another "Don't Tread on Me" flag, but it's with the snake chopped up. I don't know if you've seen. I can't find it, but the snake being chopped up is basically Jesus Christ breaking the bread, and or Osiris chopping his body up, and his wife Isis had to put him together again. They're giving you They also giving you the Humpty Dumpty story as well. Humpty Dumpty falling off this wall, and he's getting put together back again. Okay. Now the thing is, the upside down flag. Now the upside down flag represents America being in turmoil. So Osiris flag always been upside down. Egypt. That's why you. That's your POW shit. That's the skull and bones and the X. Now let's look up the PO. I already cooked. Boy, I'm cooking tonight. Yeah, this is your POW flag right here. MIA. And actually, hold on. Because actually, these people are Moors and pirates. This your pirate flag right here. This your skull and bones as well. Your Buccaneers. And then you see that those two swords is making an X because they still represent this god Osiris from Egypt. So we're not American, man. We're Egyptians, man. We're Isis, Ra, and then I pulled up El. And like I said, they all represent this crossroads. And there's a famous lodge called the Skull and Bones because if you part of the Skull and Bones, you a pirate. And some of these people in our government, they skull and bones, they pirate. JD Vance is skull and bones. JD Vance is skull and bones. Go look it up. Matter of fact, I caught Google trying to change it. So I got the receipts. I just gotta pull them up. I'll pull them up. Like, well, if you go on my matter of fact, let's see, because they try to erase JD Vance being skull and bones. I'm gonna have to find it. Cause I made sure, cause I remember we did a episode on my old channel. It got erased, and oh, here it go, here it go, right here. So they try to hide this shit, bro. We've been on who JD Vance was. So this how Google be changing the narrative. So we just looked up the pirate flag, and that's skull and bones. We all know what skull and bones mean. It says Vance, a Yale graduate, was a member of Skull and Bones and has written about his experiences and the perspectives on society in his book Hillbilly. J.D. Vance, the American politician and author, is not known to be a member of Skull and Bones. Society at Yale University. The reason why they call it Yale because when they shove the penis up your ass, you go Yale. That's why they call it Yale. And then you got the Red Shoe Club. You got the kids yelling in the damn forest and all that shit. JD Vance in Skull and Bones. He was also in Skull. But you see how it is to change the script. That's what they did with the Bible too. You see how easy it is. The Bible is online now. Okay. It ain't on paper no more. So if you got a paperback Bible, make sure you change it. I mean, make sure you don't change it. Yeah, God said don't change that. For real. The Bible is calibrated towards your intelligence because, like I said, Elon Musk used the Bible different from uh, Pastor Porkchop down the street. See, Elon Musk, he's El Elyon, and guess what? He really used the Bible. But the man down the street, Pastor Porkchop, he don't know fucking nothing about the Bible at all. He's not part of that family. Elon is a part of the 13 families. Matter of fact, Elon sits in the middle of the cosmos. He's El Elyon. And guess what? He controls the quantum computer. He's the dark tower at the middle of the cosmos, and what we call it, which we call Black Rock. So Elon Musk personified Jesus Christ in the middle of this flat Earth Mercator's map. You see the Black Rock. They even show you this with the Kabbalah cube, this Black Rock, this Rufus Niagara. But the company BlackRock, they got a company called BlackRock, and every institution corporation is formed out of BlackRock. This is the economics is their religion too. In this pyramid structure, BlackRock ain't nothing but a pyramid or a polar vortex at the center of the North Pole. This is your 33rd degree Christ coordinates. And like I said, Elon Musk, he think he Jesus Christ because he deal with resurrection technology. He's a Zionist puppet for the technology in Israel. And like I said, Elon Musk is Israel because it's in the last name. He's L. See, they're not gonna tell you this, man. If it weren't for me, y'all, if it weren't for Mr. Trumptastic, I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of Macedonians would be cooked right now. Cooked, probably dead or in jail. I'm gonna be honest with you, because there's still people out, man. Matter of fact, we didn't even go into that one incident. There's people. There's people out here really crashing out, still going out to these cops. Man, you got Officer Tatum. Who else go out there? Charlie Kirk. He go out to these liberal campuses, and they do it on purpose too. I don't figure these motherfuckers out. They can't fool me. Ain't nobody getting nothing past Mr. Trumptastic. I'm like a gate guard out here. You can fool everybody else, but you're not about to fool me. That's what you're not about to do, family. So these right wing influencers go out knowing liberals gonna be right there protesting, and then they set they tent up, and then they preach their gospel, and then it's one big confrontation right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, Trump already run. I'm talking to the right wing influencers right now. I'm thinking in my head, Trump already won, bro. We got what we want. Chill the fuck out and let the dummies crash out with the cops. But they so thirsty for fucking content, want to go on the damn campus where you got 5 million liberals, bald headed, and you want to set up fucking camp right there on the damn. And I'm pretty sure that one girl set that all up. That shit looked like fucking ketchup for real. You know what I'm saying? Some people just out of whack. They gotta do certain psyops just to get some fucking views and shit. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into this video. You just got the 30-minute introduction of who Israel is. They deal with like I said, this god Osiris. I told you they worship Osiris. This guy Osiris is green, fam. So they deal with NASA. If you look at the paramount symbol right here, this is Mount Hermon, where all the angels landed, fam. Now, the thing is, you go to this Black Rock right here. You go to this Black Rock. This is where the angels fall at. This is where they get. This is where man falls into sin or a fallen angel. Now, when I ask somebody, I say, "Hey, man, where did you come from? Where did your soul come from?" And usually people will tell me from God. And I'm like, "Where does God reside?" They usually point up there. I said, "So you're a fallen angel, right?" "Oh no, man, I'm not a devil." "Yeah, the fuck you are. You're a devil. Everybody's a demon when they come down here because they practicing their 7 deadly sins. They gotta conquer their 7 deadly sins. And that all aligns with the 7 churches in Revelations, the 7 lost tribes of Judah. Or is that 12? That it might have been 12, but those are the 7 churches Christ wrote the letters to. So, and we all know they was corrupt. The churches was lost. So those are the Roman papacy, the churches, man, the government, or these governmental entities that govern the mind or the state of mind. Okay? But if you're a fallen angel, that means you fell into sin on this rock, just like Christ. and he showed you how you came into this simulation and how you go leave. Now there's different shades of gray. So the thing is, we, we can always go into the transhumanism part of the immaculate conception, but like I said, when you're dealing with Christ or the Christos knowledge, this is how you lead the simulation, straight and narrow, family, just like Christ said, just like Christ said. So even right here, here go Israel right here. So you're not in America, y'all. Quit say you might as well quit saying you America, because America is the cover story for Israel. And you be like, why? Oh my God! Why is Trump supporting Israel? Why is Trump support? Why are all attacks down? Because Israel is America. I showed you the damn flag. I showed you all the connections that America is Israel, and you still dumbfounded. Why you think our tax dollars going over here? Because we using a technology, we using a pyramid scheme, and all that. We using a mystery schools. Everything. Look, they know who these celebrities know who they worshiping and where all that shit came from. These people know. This the Nehushtan. This the snake that they worship. Like I said, that's the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. Let me pull the "Don't Tread on Me." That's the "Don't Tread on Me" flag is the Nehushtan, y'all. Let me get this out the way. So you looking, see, everybody worship this damn serpentine, y'all. That's the crazy part about it. Let me remove this. Put this up. You know I do these shows off the top of the head. Y'all do know this, right? These shows ain't scripted, fam. This is embedded in my DNA. That's why they in trouble. Cause I could just hop up out my bed and do this. Look, don't tread on me. That's the Nehushtan that Moses raised up in the wilderness. This is what Moses was teaching his followers. The snake represents the Kundalini rising, and this is why Moses rose the caduce with the snake on it. So we still practicing Satanism, family, with this damn snake. The snake just represents good, the knowledge of good and evil. So let's pull this up. Let's pull this up because we broke this down right here with this snake right here and what this Confederate flag really means. So this is a flat Earth symbol right here. This the Confederate flag. You see the Confederate flag right here. This is also the swastika. If you dial this towards the right 45 degrees, you get this same symbol, fam. And there go your star, and there go your snake wrapped around your dark tower or the Tesla coil, basically. You see the spiral staircase that will personify the snake, or you rising in knowledge. Okay, this is also the sperm cell. The snake is the sperm cell, and I had a picture of it as well. But there go your four rivers right there. That's why you got blue right there, and red is personified of the blood shedding on the rock on the cross. Okay, that's basically Mary shedding her menstrual cycle, and as that's also Christ shedding his tears. It's the same personification. You got to think Mary personified Christ and Christ personified Mary, but they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that because there's a firewall. There's a firewall. That's why they go to the Wailing Wall, fam. The firewall, the wall represents a layer of knowledge that you have to break down to get to the other side or the crossover. and they know not to blend with the beast in the field. They know not to blend because the thing is, we think they beast, and in reverse, they think we beast. They think we Satan, and we think they Satan. So y'all figure it out. Y'all figure it out. So let's get into the video, family. That was the introduction to the video. Because I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'll be lazy and just cut on the video and just watch for myself. But sometimes when I'm not like tired, I'll get on here and do a whole introduction and stuff. But it depends on how I feel. Um. So yeah, that is the star of. Hold on. That's the. You see these stars right here. Now let's pull up. Hold on. Let's pull up the Baphomet. Because the Baphomet, he got the. Hold on. The Baphomet, he got the same stars on his head too. Because let's pull this up right quick. Let me get out of this. I swear I got a picture of the Baphomet somewhere, but I ain't about to look for it. I ain't about to stop this damn show. I'll just pull up the images. Now you see the damn Baphomet with the 5-point star on his head. And then when you see the Confederate flag, they share the same 5-pointed star. The 5-pointed star represents Allah. Arms, legs, arms, head. That's your 5-pointed star. You know what? It really don't matter if it's a 5-point, 6-point. The thing is, those are just different pins they could stick you with. Sometimes they stick you with 5. Sometimes they stick you with 6. But it's basically 7 obstacles to get out of. You know what I'm saying? The 5, and then you got 6 obstacles, and then the 7th one, you don't see it because it's in the middle. It's interchangeable. The Godhead is interchangeable. So, but 7 are always stands for completion. And once you pulled all these damn pins out and needles out your eye, because like I said, the God of the Bible, guess what? He used to jab out your eye. This is why they throw up the hook 'em horns. This is the what we call the jabber dude, the jabber guy. This is Saturn right here as well. And you see he got the star Renfran on his stomach because the star Renfran represents the Adonis belt. You see L wearing in the middle of the cosmos right here. It's your El Dorado. You know what I'm saying? It's your El Dorado or your Hey Zeus. Who does this look like? Zeus. But El personifies all the gods. And this is the goat of Mendez right here. It's the goat of Mendez. And this is his serpent staff. He got a serpent staff too, just like the Don't Tread on Me flag. So you dealing with a whole bunch of shit, fam. You don't know what the hell going on. And I gotta come back into the simulation and tell y'all what's going on. Yes, I do. Moloch is another form of not Moloch, but Baphomet is another form of Moloch. So, and there go your Chicago Bulls, your hook 'em horns. This is why they throw up the devil horns, fam. Because the devil horns deal with media companies, broadcasting. What did God do? He casted Satan out of heaven. He casted Satan out of heaven. So let's get it. Let's get into the video, y'all. Oh, matter of fact, I got something to. I said something else to show y'all, but you see the Baphomet right here. Now let's pull up this family. let's pull up this. So and y'all be like, man, why is America doing this? And why? Because they got ties to America. All this is blended. Is America Jewish? If it weren't for the Jews, there wouldn't be no American. But like I said, you got dark, you got white hat, black hat, and sometimes they gotta shake hands. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Sometimes they gotta shake hands because it's called checkmate. They play 5D chess with each other. That's what they doing because they already done conquered the simulation. They already done mind controlled everybody. Everybody's chipped up. So let me let me just do this. So this save us time. So you got the Baphomet with the 5-point star on his head. And then when we look over here, you got Uncle Sam with the 5-point star on his head. You see what I'm saying? Same person. This is why Uncle Sam is the GOAT or the Baphomet. And he looked just like the damn GOAT. He looked just like the GOAT. The beard, all that. Uncle Sam is Baphomet because what does Uncle Sam represent? Soul harvesting for Israel. Because the thing is, Israel control all them damn wars over there. I'm gonna be honest with you. They control all the wars. Mossad and them, but that's the scapegoat, Uncle Sam. He's the goat. And like I said, this is color too. This they sacrifice red, blue pill. I'm just giving you the knowledge. There go your republic, your flag right there. There go your Dukes of Hazard flag. Shouts out to Dukes of Hazard. That was one of my favorite shows. It's your Dukes of Hazard flag, but this is based off flat Earth. Turn this down, and there go your Euphrates River. The blue is the river. That's the currency, fam. The 5-point star is the Baphomet or Uncle Sam. You see? I ain't playing with y'all. Y'all thought this stuff was separate? Y'all thought this stuff was separate? Hecky no. You know I tie everything together over here. You know I do. I'm one of the best in the world to ever do it. It just is what it is, family. Now let's go. Let's get into the video, man. That was a 50-minute introduction before we even got into the documentary, y'all. So let me remove from studio. Let me add this screen. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a smoke break, but I'm gonna be watching from the background. Now, this documentary is about an hour. I'll let it ride and stuff, but when I get back, I'll stop the video and chime in. But this is from Ted Pike. I got this from somebody off the internet, but you already know stuff like this is my bread and butter. Okay, it just is. It just is what it is. So let's continue with the video. All right. Let me mute my mic. I'm gonna mute my mic and we go watch now. We go watch now.
Hello, I'm Ted Pike. Every year, thousands of pilgrims come to this place, Palestine, to discover their spiritual roots. Yet today, it is not just the religious. Mankind in general is turning its attention toward this land. Most of us realize that if World War III erupts, it could begin right here in a collision between Arab and Jew. What are the causes of this conflict between Arab and Jew, a conflict which never seems to go away? Before Zionist settlers came here around the turn of the century, this region was not particularly known for strife. Yet since then, it has known little but strife. Is there something within Judaism itself which acts as an abrasive on this land? To answer that question, we don't need to make another pilgrimage to Palestine. We don't need to visit historic sites or Jewish shrines. Instead, since Judaism is very much a religion of its literature, we need to go where its most sacred teachings are preserved. We need to go to a synagogue, in particular, the library of a synagogue. In every synagogue library, we find hundreds of books, but there are a few which tower above the rest in authority. These include the Encyclopedia Judaica, the Universal Jewish Encyclopedia, the Jewish Encyclopedia. In the oldest of these, the Jewish Encyclopedia, we encounter fascinating new perspectives on the inner teachings of Judaism, perspectives which are well known to most religious Jews, but unknown to Christians.
Most Christians believe that the Judaism of the Old Testament is very similar to Judaism today. Yet the Jewish Encyclopedia, in its article on Judaism, says modern Judaism and the Judaism of the Old Testament are very different. It says that after Nebuchadnezzar conquered Judah in the 6th century BC and led the Jews to distant Babylon, the Jews were faced with challenges to their faith they had never before experienced. Ever since the time of Solomon, the religion of Israel had centered around the magnificent temple in Jerusalem with its sacrifices and rituals. The question now became, how could one be a true Jew in a very foreign, even hostile environment? The need arose for a certain class of lay priests called scribes or sopherim to interpret the law in this new setting and make it workable. In time, these scribes became what the New Testament calls the scribes and Pharisees, the greatest legal authorities of Israel for all ages. The Pharisees said there were really two inspired revelations to the Jews. There was the written law of Moses received atop Sinai, but there was also the oral tradition acquired by 70 elders who came to the base of the mountain but were forbidden to proceed farther. The Pharisees said that these 70 elders, or Sanhedrin, received a much more extensive and profound revelation than Moses, a revelation which was never written down, yet took precedent over the written law. When Jesus came on the scene, his reaction was to bitterly denounce this counterfeit tradition. Christ said the Pharisees, by their tradition, had made the law of God of none effect. He considered the Pharisees the most dangerous leadership Israel ever had. In 70 AD, Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans. Although Jewish sects such as the Sadducees now disappeared, the Pharisees emerged with even greater power over the Jewish people. The Jewish Encyclopedia describes the new role of the Pharisees. With the destruction of the temple, the Sadducees disappeared altogether, leaving the regulation of all Jewish affairs in the hands of the Pharisees. Henceforth, Jewish life was regulated by the Pharisees. The whole history of Judaism was reconstructed from the Pharisaic point of view. Pharisaism shaped the character of Judaism and the life and thought of the Jew for all of the future. In 135 AD, all Jews were expelled from Palestine. The Pharisees led most Palestinian Jews in a mass migration back to Babylon. The majority of Jews were already in Babylon and had been since the time of Nebuchadnezzar 600 years earlier. Yet around 140 AD, Babylon became the acknowledged land of refuge for world Jewry. For another 1,000 years, Judaism flourished in Babylon under the leadership of the Pharisees. Great academies of the rabbis were established and thousands of new laws formulated. There, those same Pharisees who killed Jesus Christ remained the undisputed rulers of Judaism.
In Babylon, the Pharisees codified their oral traditions into the Babylonian Talmud, the written form of that oral tradition which Jesus so bitterly rebuked. The Talmud reveals how deep was Israel's apostasy. In her beginning, God gave the Hebrews the loftiest, the most upright literature and ethics the world has ever known. Yet when they turned their backs on him, they produced the Talmud, a work which has aptly been called a monument to human folly. The Talmud also helps us understand the basis for Christ's unflattering descriptions of the Pharisees.
Jesus described the Pharisees as hypocrites, children of hell, blind guides, whited sepulchres, full of dead men's bones. He even described the Pharisees as children of their father the devil, a murderer from the beginning. The Talmud confirms Christ's words. In the Talmud, in Treatise Sanhedrin, an extensive passage describes the right of the Pharisee to kill anyone, just as long as he did so indirectly. As one of dozens of examples, the Talmud tells us that if one bound his neighbor and he died of starvation, he is not liable to execution. In such an indirect manner, the Pharisees also killed Christ. Manipulating the Romans to actually wield the spear and sword, the Pharisees claimed, as their descendants do today, that since the Romans were the direct cause of the death of Christ, it is the Romans, not the Jews, who are guilty. Christ also called the Pharisees adulterers, an adulterous generation. The Talmud provides generous loopholes for adultery. It says the penalty for adultery does not include sex with a minor, the wife of a minor, or the wife of a heathen. The Talmud also encourages seduction of unwed adolescent girls called designated bondmaids. But it's important how such rapes are performed. With the designated bondmaid, one is guilty only in the case of natural connection, but not in the case of perverse connection. The Pharisees reasoned that rape in a perverted manner is outside the jurisdiction of the law. Normal rape, however, was punishable. In Babylon, sexual perversion of every kind had been a way of life for millenniums. The Pharisees were deeply influenced by such practices.
In 3 of the major treatises of the Talmud are found extensive passages which give legal endorsement to seduce and marry 3-year-old baby girls. In fact, many of the greatest rabbis of the Talmud, including Simeon ben Yochai, upheld this privilege. Today in Israel, thousands of Jews go to Meron every year to venerate the memory of Simeon ben Yochai, one of the most respected rabbis in the history of Judaism.
In one of dozens of endorsements of child sex, Simeon ben Yochai said, "A proselyte under the age of 3 years and a day is permitted to marry a priest." Agreeing with ben Yochai, the great rabbah said, "When a grown-up man has intercourse with a little girl, it is nothing, or when the girl is less than this, 3 years and a day, it is as if one put the finger into the eye." The footnote to this passage says, "As tears come to the eye again and again, so does virginity come back to the little girl under 3 years." The same section that sexual activity with small boys is in the same category. It is not regarded as a sexual act. In addition to adulterers, Christ, in the story of the Good Samaritan, portrayed the Pharisees as racial bigots, too self-righteous to respond to the suffering of one who was not a Jew. It is true, because of the wickedness of the Canaanites, which included sodomy and infant sacrifice, Israel had been commanded by God to be harsh in her treatment of the inhabitants of the land. God made it clear that the Canaanites were not simply to be avoided, but destroyed. By the time of the New Testament, this method of preserving God's kingdom by separation and the sword had become obsolete. God no longer made a racial difference between men.
But the Pharisees were unfazed by God's new agenda. The Talmud was finally written down nearly 5 centuries after Christ, yet its critical, even homicidal attitudes toward Gentiles might have been lifted out of the book of Joshua. However, the quickest way to grasp the Talmudic view of Gentiles is not directly from the Talmud, but from the Jewish encyclopedias. If we quote an isolated opinion from the Talmud, a rabbi may quickly object, saying, "But that is not the overall opinion of the Talmud. That is not the definitive view." What the Jewish Encyclopedia provides us is a definitive overview of perhaps hundreds of rabbinic statements on any subject, giving us accurate summaries of what the Talmud generally teaches.
In its article on Gentiles, the Jewish Encyclopedia begins to define what makes a Jew so different from a Gentile. According to the rabbis, only Israelites are men. Gentiles they class not as men, but as barbarians. Since Gentiles are not men in the fullest sense, so the Gentile is not a neighbor of a Jew. Further, since Gentile laws were too crude to admit of reciprocity, meaning too crude to be taken seriously, the Gentile was forever beneath the Jew. Gentiles were outlawed by God from the beginning, and thus had no property rights. The Almighty offered the Torah to the Gentile nations also, but since they refused to accept it, he withdrew his shining legal protection from them and transferred their property rights to Israel, who observed his law. Since the Talmud outlawed the child, or issue of a Gentile, as that of a beast, a Gentile had as little legal rights in a Jewish court as did an animal. The Talmud states that if a Gentile sue an Israelite, the verdict is for the defendant, the Israelite. Conversely, if the Israelite is the plaintiff, he obtains full damages. Because the Talmud conspires against Gentiles, if a Jew was ever caught telling a Gentile what the Talmud really says, such a person deserves death. So vile was the nature of a Gentile that the great Simeon ben Yohai said, "The best among the Gentiles deserves to be killed. The best of snakes ought to have its head crushed." Jews, however, are exalted beings in the Talmud, worthy of praise. Christ described the Pharisee who blessed himself, saying, "I thank thee, Lord, that I am not as other men." An eminent Talmudic rabbi says the same. "Blessed be thou, who hast not made me a Goy, or Gentile." There is a special antagonism between the Talmud and Jesus. The Talmud attacks him everywhere it can, even his mother. Mary, the Talmud says, was a whore who mated with carpenters. She who was the descendant of princes and governors played the harlot with carpenters. It naturally followed that the scribes declared Christ to be a bastard. In its article on Jesus, the Jewish Encyclopedia says that Jewish writings defame Christ. It is the tendency of all these sources to belittle the person of Jesus by ascribing to him illegitimate birth, magic, and a shameful death. Jesus, according to this article, was considered one of the three worst enemies of Judaism who came to an ignoble end. The Talmud says they subjected him to 4 deaths: stoning, burning, decapitation, and strangling. The Talmud also says he is now in hell, punished with boiling hot excrement. What is Christ's advice as he speaks to us out of hell? The Jewish Encyclopedia quotes Jesus as telling us above all to bless the Jews. He says, "Further their well-being. Do nothing to their detriment. Whoever touches them touches even the apple of his eye." Christians, as followers of the false prophet Jesus, also deserve death. The Jewish Encyclopedia again recaps the Talmud's position. A Gentile observing the Sabbath deserves death. It says the Talmud's hatred was probably directed against the Christian Jews. These Judeo-Christians, evasively called min, minute, or minim, were considered by the rabbis to be the most dangerous form of heretics of ancient times. The New Testament Gospels were writings which the rabbis considered more dangerous to the unity of Judaism than those of the pagans. A Talmudic rabbi said, "The writings of Christians deserve to be burned, for paganism is less dangerous than minute or Christianity." The Jewish Encyclopedia, in its article on min, continues to illustrate the Talmudic hatred of Christianity. Again, we must remember, minim usually indicates the Judeo-Christians. It was forbidden to partake of meat, bread, or wine with the Christian. Scrolls of the law, Tefillin, and Mezuzot written by a Christian were burned. An animal slaughtered by a Christian was forbidden food. The relatives of the Christian were not permitted to observe the laws of mourning after his death, but were required to assume festive garments and rejoice. The testimony of a Christian was not admitted in evidence in Jewish courts, and an Israelite who found anything belonging to one who was a Christian was forbidden to return it to him.
The Pharisees, through their Talmud, thus gave the Jews an ethic which encouraged bigotry and isolation. But it did worse than that. It invited persecution. By the 11th century, the inhabitants of Babylon, growing weary of the self-righteousness and dishonesty of the Jews, expelled them to the west.
Migrating across North Africa and Central Europe, the great majority of Jews who had lived in Babylon for almost 1,600 years now began to find their destinies in the cities of the West. Yet in coming to the West, found their Christian neighbors extremely intolerant of the antisocial deviations Jews had taken for granted in Babylon. In order to survive, it was necessary to abandon such Babylonian traditions. But that was not as easy as it sounds. For 1,000 years, the Pharisees had commanded such deviations. Most Jews could not bring themselves to defy the authority of the Pharisees. Enter one of the giants of Judaism of all time, the great Maimonides. Maimonides, a physician and philosopher, knew that no Jew who practiced Babylonian perversions could remain alive in Christian lands. He attempted to harmonize Greek philosophy with the best points of Judaism. He hoped his rationalizations would enable Jews to abandon their antisocial customs.
Yet Maimonides was only partly successful. He was excommunicated by the Jewish community on the charge of making new laws. Nevertheless, his moderation and intellect did in fact temper the old Judaism of Babylon.
Gradually over the centuries, Jews abandoned immoral practices of the Talmud. Such practices are not observed today. In fact, most Jews are so ignorant of the Talmud itself that they do not even know that such teachings exist within their sacred literature. Yet the fact remains that when the Jews came to the West in the Middle Ages and attempted to accommodate the Talmud to Christian society, a tremendous conflict was created. In Babylon, Judaism could be perfectly consistent with the teachings of the Pharisees because the Babylonians were immoral as well. In Christian lands of the West, it became necessary to pretend that many of those teachings did not exist. Even today, religious Jews continue to venerate the Pharisees and their Talmud as the greatest source of light that Judaism will ever know. Yet, living in Christian lands, no Jew can fully perform what the Pharisees commanded. This conflict in Jewish responsibility has created a dilemma over the last 1,000 years from which Jews in the West have not emerged.
Yet even before Maimonides came on the scene, another dilemma was being created in Judaism far to the east. This was a dilemma not concerning the doctrines of the Jews, but over who actually was a Jew.
In their articles on Khazars, the Jewish encyclopedias tell us that in the 8th century AD, Jewish missionaries ventured north of Babylon to the land of the Khazars between the Caspian and the Black Seas. Khazaria was a vast grassland on what is now the plains of southern Russia, inhabited by a race of merchants, artisans, and warriors of Hunnish Turkish stock. About 740 AD, the king of the Khazars converted to Judaism and made it the state religion. Incredibly, within a few centuries, the people of Khazaria convinced themselves that they were not Gentiles after all, but the physical descendants of Abraham. Thus, by the 10th century AD, a nation of proselyte Jews thrived in what is now central Russia. During the Middle Ages, the fierce Mongols from the east and Russians from the north drove the Khazars west out of their ancient homeland. Most settled in Eastern Europe, especially Poland, where they established communities of artisans and traders. Judaism thus became divided into two basic groups which remain today: the Ashkenazim, which are the Khazars of the East, and the Sephardic Oriental, which are Jews of Spain, Turkey, and lands bordering on the Mediterranean. Today, the Ashkenazim or Khazars are
Yeah, I'm back. Hey, we go. What time is it? Yeah, we go do a part 2 on this. Man, as you can see, Ted Pike, he going in deep with the knowledge. He going in deep. So this is why I, made this title, because it's all tie in with the papacy and the World Council of Churches, UNESCO. It's all being decoded right here. But these people, they trying to rise in the West and take over these Christian nations, but they got everything so scattered and denominated. They're gonna conquer. They go do their conquest. It just is what it is. They got everybody divided. So divided we stand, united we fall. Yeah, crazy, ain't it? I said that backwards for a reason, and y'all go figure out why I said that. But yeah, I'm out, y'all. Part 2, we go do that tomorrow, like around 6 p.m. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Part 2, because there's still like, how much video we got? We still got about 40 minutes of that video, but we go pick up at the 21 mile marker. I'll put that in my notes. But yeah, we out of here, y'all.